The rain hammered against the windows of our little cottage in the Cotswolds, mirroring the storm brewing inside me. For 20 years, our life with Isolde had been a tapestry woven with shared dreams, quiet evenings by the fire, and the comforting rhythm of routine. I, Barnaby, a humble clockmaker, found joy in the intricate workings of timepieces, each tick and tock a testament to precision and reliability. I believed our marriage possessed in abundance. I was 46 years old. It started subtly, almost imperceptibly. Isolde, who worked as a marketing executive for a large food company, began spending more time at the office. Late nights, weekend conferences, urgent calls. Each explanation seemed plausible enough on its own. But the frequency increased, and a nagging unease began to gnaw at me. Our conversations dwindled, replaced by curt exchanges and averted gazes. The warmth that had once radiated from her touch now felt distant, almost perfunctory. One evening, while Isolde claimed to be attending a marketing seminar in London, I decided to surprise her by driving down to the city. I pictured us having a romantic dinner, rekindling the spark that seemed to be fading. I called her office, hoping to catch her before the seminar began. "Isolde Faulkner's extension, please," I requested. The receptionist's voice dripped with polite indifference. "I'm sorry, sir, Ms. Faulkner is not attending the seminar today. She's on leave this week." Leave. Isolde hadn't mentioned anything about taking time off. My heart clenched with a cold dread. I thanked the receptionist and hung up, my mind reeling. Where was she? What was she doing? The rain intensified as I drove back home, the wipers struggling to keep pace with the downpour. I felt a growing certainty that something was terribly wrong. When I arrived back at the cottage, I went straight to Isolde's study. I knew it was a violation of her privacy, but I couldn't shake the feeling that I needed to know the truth. Her laptop sat on the desk, innocently closed. I hesitated for a moment before opening it. I knew her password, her anniversary date. As the screen flickered to life, I felt a surge of guilt, quickly followed by a burning resolve. I had to know. I navigated to her email account, my hands trembling slightly. The inbox was filled with the usual work-related correspondence, but a folder labeled "Personal" caught my eye. I clicked on it and a list of emails appeared, each one addressed to a name I didn't recognize. Griffin. My breath hitched in my throat as I opened the first email. It was a love letter, filled with passionate declarations and intimate details. My world tilted on its axis as I read through the subsequent messages, each one a dagger twisting in my heart. Isolde was having an affair with someone named Griffin. The email spanned several months, painting a vivid picture of stolen moments, secret rendezvous, and whispered promises. They spoke of a deep connection, a love that Isolde claimed she had never experienced before. I felt a wave of nausea wash over me as I realized the extent of her betrayal. I stumbled back from the desk, my legs weak. The room seemed to spin around me, the familiar surroundings now alien and hostile. 20 years. 20 years of trust, loyalty, and unwavering devotion, all reduced to ashes by a few keystrokes. I spent the rest of the night in a daze, replaying the emails in my mind, searching for answers, for some explanation that could make sense of this nightmare. But there was none. Only the stark, undeniable truth. Isolde had betrayed me in the most profound way imaginable. The next morning, Isolde returned home, her face flushed and radiant. "Darling, I'm back," she chirped, her voice brimming with an energy I hadn't heard in months. She rushed to embrace me, but I recoiled, my body stiff with anger and hurt. "Where were you, Isolde?" I asked, my voice dangerously calm. She hesitated for a moment, her eyes flickering with uncertainty. "At the seminar, of course. Why, I didn't say anything." I simply walked over to her laptop, opened it, and turned the screen towards her. She stared at the emails, her face draining of color. The truth was out, exposed for all to see. "Barnaby," she stammered, her voice barely a whisper. "Who is Griffin?" I demanded, my voice rising. She burst into tears, collapsing onto the sofa. "It just happened," she sobbed. "I didn't mean for it to go this far." "Who is he?" "Isolde," I repeated, my voice unwavering. He's a colleague," she confessed. "We've been working closely together on a new project." A colleague. Just like that, she reduced our 20-year marriage to a fleeting office romance. I felt a rage building inside me, a white-hot fury that threatened to consume me. "I want you to leave," I said, my voice trembling with emotion. I want you out of this house. She looked up at me, her eyes wide with shock. Barnaby, please, don't do this. We can work through this. There is nothing to work through, Isolde, I said, my voice cold and resolute. You broke our vows, you betrayed my trust, and you shattered our life together. I want you gone. She pleaded, she begged, she promised to end the affair and dedicate herself to our marriage. But I was unmoved. The damage was done, the trust irrevocably broken. I couldn't forgive her, not now, not ever. Isolde left that day, taking with her a suitcase filled with her belongings and a heart filled with regret. I watched her drive away, a hollow ache in my chest. 20 years, gone, just like that. The following weeks were a blur of lawyers, divorce papers, and the agonizing process of dividing our shared life. The cottage felt empty and silent, haunted by the ghost of what we had once been. I threw myself into my work, seeking solace in the intricate mechanisms of clocks, finding a strange comfort in their predictable rhythm. One afternoon, a package arrived at my doorstep. It was a small, unassuming box, addressed to me in unfamiliar handwriting. Curious, I opened it. Inside, I found a single photograph. It was a picture of Isolde and a man I didn't recognize, standing in front of a restaurant in London. They were holding hands, their faces beaming with happiness. On the back of the photograph, a single word was scrawled: Griffin. I felt a surge of anger, a renewed sense of betrayal. How dare she flaunt her affair in my face? How dare she mock the pain she had caused me? Driven by a need for answers, I decided to investigate Griffin. I hired a private investigator, a discreet and resourceful woman named Verena, to uncover the truth about Isolde's lover. Verena was efficient and thorough. Within a few days, she provided me with a detailed report on Griffin. His real name was Cuthbert Ainsworth, and he was a notorious con artist, known for preying on wealthy, vulnerable women. He had a string of victims in his past, each one left emotionally and financially devastated. As I read through the report, I felt a chilling realization dawn on me. Isolde wasn't just having an affair, she was being manipulated, conned by a seasoned professional. Cuthbert Ainsworth had targeted her, exploited her vulnerabilities, and seduced her with false promises. I felt a strange mix of emotions: anger, pity, and a flicker of protectiveness. Despite everything, Isolde was still the woman I had loved for 20 years. I couldn't stand by and watch her be taken advantage of. I decided to confront Cuthbert Ainsworth. I tracked him down to a luxury hotel in Bath, where he was currently residing under an assumed name. I drove there immediately, my heart pounding with a mixture of apprehension and determination. I found him in the hotel bar, sipping a cocktail and chatting with a young woman. He was handsome and charismatic, with a disarming smile that could charm the birds out of the trees. But I saw through his facade, recognizing the cold, calculating eyes of a predator. Cuthbert Ainsworth, I asked, my voice steady. He looked up, his eyes narrowing slightly. I'm sorry, you must have me mistaken. Don't play games with me, I said, my voice hardening. I know who you are, and I know what you've been doing to Isolde. He chuckled, a low, menacing sound. Isolde, she's just a silly woman who fell for my charms. There are plenty more where she came from, that was it. Something snapped inside me. I lunged at him, grabbing him by the collar and dragging him out of the bar. We struggled for a moment, but I was fueled by adrenaline and righteous anger. I pinned him against the wall, my fist clenched. Stay away from her, I snarled, my voice shaking with rage. If you ever come near her again, I'll make you regret it. He sneered at me, his eyes filled with contempt. What are you going to do, old man? Call the police? I didn't answer. I simply released him and walked away, leaving him shaken and bewildered. I knew that confronting Cuthbert Ainsworth wouldn't solve everything, but it felt good to stand up to him, to protect Isolde from his predatory clutches. I still couldn't forgive her for her betrayal, but I couldn't abandon her to a con artist's schemes. I contacted Isolde and told her about Cuthbert Ainsworth's true nature. At first, she refused to believe me, blinded by his charm and manipulation. But when I presented her with the evidence Verena had gathered, she finally saw the truth. She was devastated, heartbroken, and filled with remorse. She had been a fool, she admitted, blinded by her own desires and vulnerabilities. She had jeopardized her marriage, her reputation, and her financial security, all for a man who didn't care about her. I helped Isolde extricate herself from Cuthbert Ainsworth's web of deceit. Together, we reported him to the police, providing them with the evidence they needed to bring him to justice. He was arrested and charged with fraud, his days of conning vulnerable women finally over. As for Isolde and me, our marriage was over. The trust was gone, the wounds too deep to heal. But we managed to salvage a fragile friendship, a mutual respect born out of shared history and a shared experience of betrayal. In the end, I found solace in my work, in the steady rhythm of clocks, in the knowledge that even in the face of betrayal, time marches on, and life finds a way to heal. I learned that forgiveness is not always possible, but compassion is always an option. And that sometimes the greatest act of love is letting go. Years later, I received a letter from Isolde. She had moved to a small village in France where she was working as a volunteer at a local charity. She had found peace and purpose in helping others, she wrote, and she was finally happy. I smiled, a bittersweet ache in my heart. I was glad that she had found her way, that she had emerged from the wreckage of our marriage a stronger, wiser woman. And I, in turn, had found my own path, a path of quiet contentment, of acceptance, and of a newfound appreciation for the precious, fleeting nature of time.